Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Every parent worries for their child's well-being. Chief among those concerns is keeping them off drugs. But how far would you go to keep tabs on your child? Some parents are taking it to the extreme with a four-legged foot soldier in their personal war on drugs. My Nightline co-anchor Juju Chang reports.
It's a quiet afternoon on the outskirts of New Orleans.
All right.
But it's about to be disrupted. Michael Davis is on his way to execute a very particular kind of drug bust.
You ready?
The target, no hardened criminal.
Come on.
Fear. I want them to be afraid.
At just 12 years old, Jared hasn't even reached high school yet.
It's heartbreaking.
But his mother fears her son is already using drugs. So she's taking what some might see as an extreme tactic.
Let's do it.
Everything has spiraled out of control. It keeps me up all night sometimes because I think of them and I remember when they were these tiny little babies in my arms, and then
she's reached out to this man. Michael Davis is former military who's had his own past struggles with substance abuse. His privately trained drug-sniffing dogs, modern mercenaries in the war against drugs.
Come on.
Hired by anxious parents across the country
Good girl.
to snoop on their own kids. His controversial approach, cutting law enforcement out of the equation entirely.
There's nothing wrong with the proactive approach. What you're doing is good parenting. You ready to search? You ready to search? I know. Find me something. Ugly, come. Here, hey.
I was about to say, what about
Show
there?
me here. You want to get back there?
You can move it, please do.
Hey, big guy. Do you mind coming out here and talking to me for a second? It sounds like you are into a lot of things that older people do. What's wrong, bud? You okay?
Confronted for the first time, he dissolves into tears.
That's the first time he's cried in 2 years.
Is it out of the ordinary to find kids doing drugs in middle school?
There are children who are 10 years old that are being locked up, that are being put into facilities. There are 12-year-olds in this nation who have overdosed from finding drugs and utilizing them as well.
Teenage drug use continues to plague the nation. 50% of kids surveyed say they've tried drugs by age 18. And studies show that 9 out of 10 adults with substance abuse problems started using before age 18.
Good job.
Fueling a market for Michael's unique business model,
Are you ready to work?
which some critics argue is profiting off parents' fears.
You ready to search? We most often see heroin, meth, but we've also come across a lot of synthetic drugs, spice. Spice is everywhere.
What he calls his Worried Parent program starts at just $99.
The dog can catch the scent of the narcotics from 25 yards away.
At his headquarters outside of Louisville, Kentucky, Davis's dogs are trained to identify chemicals used to process drugs, fertilizers in marijuana, and compounds used in meth or heroin, just like police dogs.
Is that where the hide was? Yes? Good job.
But there are no cops here. In fact, Michael guarantees absolute discretion.
Everything is confidential. As we say, no police, no questions, just answers.
You're actually offering a comprehensive set of services.
Yes, ma'am, that we locate the narcotics, we provide advice on where to go, how to get help.
Some question if it's taking the law into your own hands.
Why does law enforcement see what you're doing with suspicion?
And I think they see it as we're stepping on their toes. We want to help the issue. Locking up a child does not help the issue.
But do searches like these invade a young person's privacy?
Could it backfire because it's this confrontational device?
I think it really could lead to trust issues, and it could also lead to difficulties having a positive relationship with your child.
Face federal drug charges.
Drug bust in Warsaw.
A major drug bust.
Hardcore addictions, no longer big city problems. As heroin and meth is trafficked throughout the country, cities like Louisville along the drug routes are plagued with narcotics. Michael says some of his biggest clients, halfway houses, where past drug offenders have routine access to street drugs.
We almost every time come up with things. You're dealing with an environment of drugs. This is what they know. We're gonna start in this dorm room here. Search.
His dog, Oakley, hits on a locker almost immediately.
That's a good girl.
And another.
Hey, how about here?
She picks up scents in locker after locker. Even the tiniest trace of a substance or fumes caught in clothing fibers can set her off.
We will drug test anybody whose locker was hit on by the dog. We just wanted to send a message to all of the residents that, we are going to be on top of this.
They often find more than a trace. Meth pipes, crack pipes.
If they don't have anything else to smoke on, the user would take one of these.
Even crack residue. To help kids stay out of places like these, Michael often finds himself not just in hard-scrabble neighborhoods like Jared's, but also in leafy suburbs, talking to concerned fathers like this man, who asked us not to show his entire face.
We thought it was getting out of control, so we've called Michael because we want to be sure of what is or is not in this house.
Let's see what our dog finds.
He called Michael after he found his son one night completely incoherent.
Kind of stepped in front of him, and he just kind of looked at me, and he really didn't say anything. He didn't even know who I was.
This father says he's worried his son, a former straight-A student, champion athlete, is throwing his future away. They've cleaned out his stash of drugs, but they're still driven by a crippling fear.
Death. Our son could end up killing himself by mistake.
You ready to work? Oakley is going to sniff your home. We're going to go upstairs and we're going to let her do her thing. Search.
While their son is at work at a fast food restaurant, Oakley works his bedroom, zeroing in on his desk.
This is what we call a sit-down indication.
And there it is, a hit.
What that means is that she's 100% positive. You see now she's pulling, she's showing you that there is signs of marijuana in this drawer. I would look in things like Altoids cans. There you go. There's marijuana for you there.
Pull it out as far as you can and go through the whole thing now. I don't want any pills in there.
The parents say weed is not surprising, but there are prescription pills, too.
These two are pain pills. Yes, ma'am. That is actually 100% hydrocodone. Looks like a Xanny.
That looks like a Xanax.
Yes.
And a scale.
I'll tell you this much. I've never met a child that has scales in his room, though, that wasn't selling.
What's a job well done for Michael's dog?
Good girl.
Is a parent coming face to face with an ugly truth.
Stop fighting him, become his ally, and say, hey, I realize what your issues are. Let's channel them.
I found a lot more than I expected. It's given me a lot more insight into probably what we need to do and how we need to proceed from here.
Show me here.
A predicament another concerned parent fears she too is about to face. Jared's mother anxiously awaits results of Michael's search. After sweeping every room, this search comes up empty-handed.
Every room in your home is clear of narcotics.
Thank you so much.
Does that make you feel better?
Mom breathes a sigh of relief.
I am very relieved.
In this business, these are perhaps the happiest customers.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry. Okay? You forgive me? Mm-hmm. You know I love you, right?
I know.
For Nightline, I'm Juju Chang in New York.